Before we begin, thank you very much to Hyper Mega Man. Always appreciate a Mega Man coming into my life for joining the Patreon campaign. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. So, as a quick update to my Patreon and the things I promised at certain goals, I have finished watching and noting all of Beast Machines. So, image gathering begins probably tonight, and then I believe I'm going to try and get all of them filmed, edited, and up to Patreon exclusively before they go on to YouTube. So that's the plan right now. Don't know if that's how it's gonna work out, but I want to make sure you guys get everything, and I want to make sure it's not gonna take forever this time. But thank you guys so much for the assistance. I will keep grinding as a result of your generosity. So last night, me and a friend watched Power Rangers Once and Always, the almost hour-long special devoted to nostalgia. Just straight up nostalgia. So, I'm going to do this in two parts. We just did this with the Owl House as well, so I'll do it here. We're going to talk about we're going to do like a spoiler-free section to start off with, so you can actually get to know what's going on. And get my opinion without having anything spoiled for you. And then we'll go in to talk about the spoilers and the details of it. Now, keep in mind, it's still Power Rangers. It's not exactly a really, it's not a very in-depth story to tell, right? Right? So, don't get too excited over that. But for the rest of it, and just general thoughts and opinions and my takes on it, those will keep to the spoiler section on specific things and things that people might want to point out and notice for themselves, right? So we're going to go through that. Now, let me take this down so we get to the slideshow. The slideshow is going to be automatic. It's just going to show screen caps from the trailer so as to not to spoil anything, and just have a visual example of some of the things going on. So just to get this out of the way, I really like this movie. I really, really liked what they did here. It was very clear. The longer we watched, the more clear it was that the people in charge of this not only really love their Power Rangers, but also put a lot of effort into references, continuity, and just making sure the whole thing felt like it could have been just a Power Ranger episode. Though that said, I will say that the tones of the story and the overall plot of it do trend a lot more mature than an original Power Rangers episode. There is enough cheese left in the movie. I keep calling it a movie. It's like 55 minutes. There is enough in the special to actually remind you that this is Power Rangers. There's just enough cheese in it to kind of give you that right feeling. But the tone and the things that are being discussed are definitely designed for the people who grew up with the original Power Rangers. So this is a more mature Power Rangers story for the older fans who have been loving it all this time. But, it's also not inappropriate for kids, You can show this to your kids that have been watching Mighty Morphin on Netflix with you, and it should still be great. It should be a nice capper on all of those stories that you got started with the Mighty Morphin era, and technically all the way through Zeo. Yeah, it actually did go, that's actually quite a bit to cover here. So I will say, this was a pet project by David Yost. He's the one who originally pitched it as an anniversary project, and I think that was a great. I think for him, my friend pointed out that as he read through the script, there is something about going through and processing loss, but for me it felt like a capstone, a closure on what is the most famous portion of his career, given the way that he was treated on set, the infamous things that he went through with the original cast. I think this was really important for him to do, just to kind of find closure on that period of his life, on the most famous portion of his life. And it does a great job of it. Billy actually stands out really well in this special. And so does Zach, by the way. You know, I really did not realize just like how I didn't realize just like how strong of a character Zach could be. Now, obviously, he's more mature here. He's still got plenty of the original in him, but the way he's depicted here, like he's grown up, he's more mature, but he still has this great heart to him, you know, and that's the kind of heart that does remind me of the original Power Rangers series, which is a great thing to see. We do obviously now there's replacement cast for very obvious reasons. You'll hear some particular former Rangers dubbed in with some of their old ADR. You do get a full team at least. There's a full team of Rangers at one point in this movie, so you know that's not a surprise. I would say it is great to see them all together again. You know, it is great to see everybody on screen. It's great to hear the original actors again, the ones they could get. I mean, not only the ones that are on screen, but also the vocal performances. The original voice of Alpha is back. The original voice of Rita is back. And they do explain all that, so don't worry. But it is just, man. I'm just capping this off, like, because I gotta go into spoiler territory for a lot of what I really want to talk about. I will just say that, like, everything is done exceptionally well. It is very cleanly written. It is very exceptionally executed. Acting performances are all on point. You can definitely tell that from the original Power Rangers, which was on the cheesier side of acting, they've all grown and matured as actors themselves. You know, like Walter Jones in general, like I keep seeing in acting projects here and there. So he's definitely honed his craft since the last time he played Zach. So that's great. It's all really great to see. So I'll just go ahead and tell you, if you're weary about this movie, this special, if you weren't quite sure if they're going to pull it off or if this is going to be another Super Mega Force situation, this is not a Super Mega Force situation. This is incredibly enjoyable, great nostalgia trip with a lot of love put into it. Yeah, it is top notch. It is top notch. I really, really enjoyed it, and it's definitely something I want to go back and watch again, just to kind of slowly take my time and like find all the little bits and pieces that they snuck into it, because I'm sure I missed a few. So with that, I'm going to do this. So here is your chance. I'm not going to switch to a new slideshow, but I'm just putting this up just to kind of give you like, hey, here's where the spoilers kick in. If you don't want to be spoiled by anything, then please tune out now. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time. But if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts, you got to stick around. So 3, 2, 1, we start spoiling. The biggest thing in this special is dealing with the death of Trini's actress Thuy Trang. They have to do something with it, right? So it is inevitable, and there is some discomfort with it. But I think they handled it as respectfully as they could. Trini sacrifices herself in battle to save Billy. So, and the scene was like far more brutal than I expected. It's far more brutal than I expected. I mean, not blood, and not blood or limbs flying apart, but like we see her disintegrate. It's rough. It's a rough spot. And it starts the special. It's like one of the first things we see. So it's really like, it really hits home very quickly that we are going to be telling a very mature story. Like the first thing we're dealing with is, how do we tell Trini's daughter? How do we tell Trini's daughter that she was a Power Ranger and Rita Repulsa just killed her? And by the way, they use those phrases. They use the word kill a lot. The word kill comes up a lot in this one. No one says, I'll destroy you. No. Rita flat out says, I'm going to kill you. Little bit of a change. Like I said, we're telling a more mature story for those who grew up with the original Rangers. So we get that. And it is like, it is like the inevitability of like the fact that these are Power Rangers. They are dealing in heavy, dangerous situations. We've never actually seen one fall in battle like this. Not like this, right? Because like we saw like Kendricks and what happened to her, but we never had to deal with like a really rough permadeath in Power Rangers, and we certainly didn't have to deal with the aftermath of like how do you handle the family. In this case, we have Min, who is Trini's daughter, and we time skip a year to show that she is taking up her mother's style of martial arts, which they actually reference Mantis Kung Fu. It was one of the million references they threw into this to show that they actually know what they're doing. So she trains herself basically because she's after Robo Rita. She's after revenge. And that plays a huge part of her story. Like, she does kind of play like the youth of the team in the way that like traditional like 80s and 90s cartoons and shows would work. There's always that young member of the team that caused the problems for the day. She's after vengeance, so she takes the saber-tooth tiger morpher and she keeps trying to use it to wipe out putties, take on monsters, and it will not work. It just will not open for her. And there's a growing up process that has to go on, because what she wants is not justice, it's vengeance. And there's something about the power coins and the morphing grid that can actually tell that that is not the right that's not the right thing for a ranger to want. So it does not allow her to morph. Not at first. She has to grow up. She has to actually learn. And she does a great job, by the way. You know, I mean, considering she's the fresh actress in this special, she does a great job keeping up with everybody else. I absolutely believe her as Trini's daughter. I love this like relationship she has with Zach, who she sees as her uncle. Zach, here's continuity for you. They actually mentioned that Zach was in politics before he gave it up to start taking care of Min. He's Min's caretaker. He started taking care of her after Trini died. So, all right, man up, take responsibility. Okay, good on you, Zach. But they also just have this like lovely kind of familial connection, and it's done really, really well, because Zach dotes over her and her safety. And in a weird way, we kind of see what like a parent would go through if they found out their kid was trying to be a Power Ranger, like for real, not like the pretendy, no, I have a morpher and I'm trying to use it type real. I love their interaction throughout the whole thing. Like they add this wonderful heart to the story. Like, I mean, it's really strong. Billy's role in it is far more tragic. So, according to the storyline, I kind of guessed that this is how it would be done. Not necessarily the method, but the reasoning behind it. So Billy is trying to reassemble Zordon. He's trying to put together all the energy that the Z-Wave dispersed back together. And he accidentally does it with Rita. So the way Rita comes back is, yes, when the Z-Wave went off, it purified her body and reduced her to for essentially a human. But the evil energy that was Rita Repulsa gets spread out into the universe. And it doesn't get destroyed, it gets dispersed. Which is also a great way of explaining why we still have so many villains popping up in the Power Ranger universe, despite that Z-Wave supposedly destroying everything. So, Billy accidentally reconstitutes Rita. Her energy possesses Alpha 8. We are up to Alpha 8 at this point in the chronology. And she transforms it into her new robotic body. And that is our villain for the movie. So, number one, we deal with this really tragic story that Billy's trying to get his, essentially a father figure back, and accidentally pulls Rita back together, which is what leads to Trini's death. So he blames himself for that. There is like a survivor's guilt to Billy because Rita was gunning for him. Trini took the blow. So he has a lot to overcome, like emotionally, in this movie, which is why I feel like this is such a good way of like kind of finding closure on his time as a Power Ranger. That's why I kind of feel like that is like the real purpose for this, or at least like not the purpose, but like what is great about it is him being able to like tell a story with Billy like this that kind of lets him get a lot of these feelings out, and that could also be part of like losing a friend, because obviously we have more. At the time of filming, we had one of the originals passed away. We now have two. We'll talk about that too. It's a rough story to tell. It's a rough story to tell. It's a rough story for Billy to tell, but he tells it really, really well. The other thing, what I actually really like about Robo-Rita is she actually mixes it up in combat. She actually fights herself, which we never saw the original do. So it's actually kind of really, it's really cool, actually. And she still has minions to fight for her. We get to see plenty of putties. And we also get to see Snizzard and Minotaur come back. So they've taken what seems like they took the original costumes and they threw a lot of robotic layers on top of them to make these like new robo versions instead, and they look fantastic. As far as like American, or well, I guess New Zealand made Power Ranger suits and monster suits, I think this is some of the best work they've ever done. Like, I think this looks way cooler and more intimidating than many of the other styles of monsters I've seen them do outside of Toei a lot. I loved how intimidating they were, because they were very effective, far more effective monsters than most of Rita's creations ever. Rita's whole plot is she's capturing Rangers to drain their power in order to power a time portal to go back to her original self after she gets out of the dumpster, basically to inform her younger self of a lot of future events, and then like eliminate the Rangers before they become Rangers. Not that Zordon wouldn't just pick 5 more, but you know how it goes. So, okay, time travel plot. Kind of makes sense. Alright, so I can see that working. But Snizzard and Minotaur just kind of go around the world just like capturing Rangers left and right. They've got just a whole random set of Rangers captured for this one. It is all how they explain away Tommy, Jason, and Kimberly, by the way. Because obviously Jason David Frank was still alive when they were filming, but he said he's just flat out done with Power Rangers. We found out, well, obviously he was going through a lot in his last year of life, so I can understand how that might have not been the best place for him. Amy Jo Johnson said she didn't say no, but she didn't agree to terms, which technically means she said no. And then obviously Austin St. John's legal troubles keep him away from this too. I like the cast we got back. Rocky's just, I hate to say it, but like Rocky's just kind of there. Kat does a lot more emotional work. She's actually concerned about the captured Tommy. She's worried about their son JJ. JJ, who was mentioned like in the last time Tommy got to appear. Yeah, so so we actually like keep that continuity going. So great. Love that. Oh man, what else? I'll just go into like I love like, you could definitely tell like there's just like I wish Rocky got to do more. The more I think about it, the more I wish Rocky got to do more. Rocky's there, Rocky's entertaining, he's doing his part, but man, like to be the Red Ranger in this special is not the best, because it's usually Zach, and it really is like it's Zach and Billy and Min's movie. That's what it boils down to. It's their movie. What other cool things we got to see that we've never seen in Power Rangers before? Well, we got to see a Zord fight on the moon. That was cool. We got to see a fight inside the Bandora Palace. I love that they kept the name Bandora. They didn't just hide or ignore the fact that the word Bandora is just over the front of the castle. They absolutely use it. You know, the call to assemble Rangers is the Bandora Protocols. I love that they used it. I love they kept the Jew Ranger reference in. Loved that. The Rangers are actually using their weapons like actual weapons. Like when they like when Min starts stabbing putties, she does not like get like big showers of sparks coming off. She just straight up stabs putties with her daggers. Robo Rita gets impaled by Billy, which is a little brutal even for a robot. So it's weird. We've gone like, when I'd say like, we're telling a more mature story, we're having a more mature style to this special. That's what I mean. It's things like that, but it's kind of cool too. The one downside I would have to this, if I'm going to point out any downside, is going to be the Zord battle itself. Because, okay, it's cool that we get to see a Zord battle on the moon, because it just feels like, why didn't the Power Rangers just ever take the fight to Rita's palace on the moon? They had to know where it was at some point. So, the CG for it is not great, like, especially once they form the Megazord. The Megazord's proportions are a little odd. It definitely doesn't look like the original suit. Yeah, part of me wishes that, like, they threw some money to actually get a suit made and build, like, a moon set for them to actually do a Zord battle on. But I understand where that suit is probably one of the more expensive things you could produce and only do it one time. Keep in mind, Snizzard and Minotaur are piecemealed from the old suits. So that is not like a full big budget thing. Even Rita seems to be, like, using just, like, a basic suit with a mask. So I can understand where that might be cost prohibitive. And you can't borrow the original, because Toei, like, because that is so old and, like, they don't want to risk damage to it, they would never give that suit up for filming one special like this. So I think it's the best they could do. I just wish I wish the animation was better. I really do. I mean, I wish they also explained how they have Dinozords. They actually explained the multiple power coins. They actually did explain that. They even warned about too much pink energy. Love the attention to detail. So some of that's there, but they kind of glossed over the idea of, like, oh, well, the Dinozords got rebuilt. I don't know. I guess that explains why they look different. I guess that explains why the Megazord's proportions are different. Explains why his arms are turned the wrong way during the fight. That's a pet peeve of mine when it comes to Megazord designs. It's still cool though. In its own way, it's still cool. And it's just cool to see all the Rangers and piloting. It's cool to see Billy center point, because he really is the leader in this movie. Yeah, just to see him driving the Megazord and, like, explaining it to Min how it's going to come naturally to you while you pilot it. Loved it. Loved it. So, I could go on and on. What other references were there that we caught? So, okay, for starters, like, they redid a brand new Moon Palace, and it looks like a dilapidated version of the original Moon Palace, so that was done well. In this shot, you can see they recreated the juice bar almost perfectly. Like, it just straight up looks like a nicer looking version of the juice bar. You know what else was nice about the juice bar? People were in it. I've seen bits and pieces of modern Power Ranger series where they always have, like, an ice cream shop or a yogurt shop or something as, like, the hangout to, you know, their version of the juice bar. It's always empty. It's always empty. So it's nice to see a populated juice bar. The Ernie gets a mention too. They did mention Ernie. They mentioned Aquitar, because apparently that's where Billy is really residing. His girlfriend from that special, Cestria, actually gets a mention. So apparently they are still a thing on Aquitar. The recreated command center you see, it does intentionally. I mean, it's actually like Billy's, like, tech company. But he had it designed like the original command center, and there is, like, a recreation of the command center inside of it. That's what that whole set is. There's references to, like, the Astro Mega ship, Turtle Cove, like, Reefside, all these other different locations for Power Rangers in the past. You've got a shout out to Bulk and Skull, who apparently own a sandwich shop now. If I read that billboard, that very quickly smashed billboard correctly. They start talking about old adventures like the Shell Shock monster. As of all the ones to pull, they pulled Shell Shock to bring up. It's so filled with all these different references to the past and it keeps the continuity together really, really well. It really does feel like this is in the right universe. It isn't some alternate take. And it's certainly not a Super Megaforce situation where they just kind of gloss over similarities or don't really explain anything. No, here, like, yeah, they actually go out of their way to, like, tie in old things from the original series, to tie continuity together, you know, and just, like, give you, like, these nice little memories. Even Miranoi got a reference. And I could go on and on. Like, I'm probably going to watch through and just, like, pick out background details. What else got mentioned? What else got, like, drawn onto, like a thing on the backside of this set that that I need to look at? You know, what other references, what other deep cuts did I not catch the first time? Oh my God, it's so fun to watch just for the throwback stuff. So, if you watch it for any reason at all, watch it for that. And, you know, that's why I kept to the spoiler, because it's so fun to find it yourself. All right, so I've been going on for a long time on this one. Suffice to say, I am very, very happy with how this special turned out. I was kind of dreading it. I was dreading how they handled Trini, but I think they handled it as gracefully as they could. Like, there's very clearly like a deep sadness to everything going on. They left the weight of the death in there. And the movie, it does end. Like, they end on a clip from the season 1 where Kimberly's, like, playing a song for the Rangers on her guitar, and they use that as, like, the tribute thing for both Jason David Frank and Thuy Trang, which is a really, like, I'm glad they included it in there, but it's one of those, like, oh, right. Like, it's like it's a tear jerk moment. So yeah, that was, I think they handled it as gracefully as they could have. And everything else is just better than I was hoping for. I mean, it was a lot of fun. You know, just like, I wish I had sat down and watched this with a bowl of cereal or something, like, and just, like, really pretended that I was a kid watching a new episode of Power Rangers. So go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's worth your time if you're an old or new Power Ranger fan. There's a lot there for you. Yeah, I cannot recommend it highly enough. I'm absolutely thrilled with how it came out. Thank you for listening to a very long rant about how good this special was. But obviously, if I can talk about it this long, like, they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. So, thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.